Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It's early in the morning. All my trees have been watered, and I'm heading off to visit Connor today. I've arrived at Connor's house. Let's go for a tour. Hey Connor.
Hi Nigel. Thanks for coming.
How's it going?
Good. Welcome to the backyard.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
Look at this.
It's relatively new to the space, so I put up most of the benches from scrap material and whatever I could get my hands on.
Wow.
And it's grown quite substantially probably since the last time you saw my collection.
It has. It's tripled, I would say, or quadrupled in size.
Yeah, quite easily. I've admittedly lost count. But yeah. It's,
so how did you put all these posts into the ground there?
So they're buried under the white gravel there.
Okay.
So there's a mixture of the concrete footers.
Yeah.
And then on the other benches, there are just some buried 2x4s.
Okay.
So most of the tabletops are all scrapped from skids.
Yep.
This used to be an old deck that was taken apart.
That's the way to go. Recycle your lumber.
Yeah, as much as possible, right?
Yeah.
And we have this is my deck, so fully apart right now, but there was some furniture up.
Yeah. And your house has a pool, which is amazing, eh?
Yeah, so it doesn't take up too much space. It's pool and bonsai, and that's about it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I got some of my desert or succulent here. They stay a little drier.
They get lots of sun, eh? Wow. I can tell they're really old because they've got that smooth bark on them, and it's getting really old and silvery and gray. Amazing. Now, are these leaves normally that small, or?
Yeah, so they came back after a complete deadhead.
Yeah.
So they're probably a little smaller than regular.
Okay.
But this is the golem or the trumpet jade.
Yeah.
And it's a little dry, and you can see the red tips. That's from the nice hot sun back here.
Yeah.
And I don't water these very much at all. In fact, I try to keep them out of the rain.
Really compact, that growth, and small. I've never seen it that.
Yeah.
Nice.
But you can see when you do some work, and when it's not bright sun on these jades, you risk some dieback.
I see.
So these were both cut here, and it decided to keep the one.
I see.
And not the other. So these are best trimmed right now when it's the hottest,
hot in
especially
summer,
in
eh?
Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And you've got quite a collection of succulents. You got some adeniums here.
Yeah. So this is I'm trying to style it like the Rafiki tree from Lion King.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's looking good.
Another little one here is about to flower.
Oh yeah. There's the flower buds up top here. Very nice. Yeah, that's another one over here that's looking good. Another jade. Wow.
Yeah, this was one of my first pots I ever made, actually.
Oh yeah. Wow, is that ever cool?
So
look at that.
I made it out of one long string.
So it's coiled around,
yeah.
Eh? That is cool. Oh, it's good. That's really nice. And you got a jade growing in it. Very nice. And that's the, what do they call it? Silver ovulata, yeah. Some people call it the silver dollar jade. Is that?
Oh, I've never heard that, but yeah, maybe.
Because they grow round kind of leaves.
Oh, okay.
About the size of a silver dollar, I guess. Very nice. And what's this thing, Connor?
Oh, I forget exactly what it's called.
But some kind of strange succulent, eh?
Yeah, it's a cactus of some sort.
I like it though.
Yeah.
Stranger the better. That's cool. A cactus over here.
Yeah, that's one the crown of thorns you gave me.
Yeah,
it's growing
that's
very
one.
well.
Wow. Thuja here.
Yeah, that's kind of my workbench with my copper wire and stuff. So it was just being trained. There's some guy wires in place to pull down these branches.
Yeah.
And the pads were just trimmed.
Oh, looks good. It's a nice base on it, isn't it?
Yeah, so the next steps in this are we're gonna expose some of this and get the gin a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
And then put it in a nicer pot.
Okay.
Something more organic looking, I think.
Right. Kind of reflects the ruggedness of the tree or
Exactly,
something like
yeah.
that, eh? Yeah, very nice. Cool. And where do you want to go next? Over here?
Yeah, I guess we could just redo or start again.
Okay.
So this is a unknown garden juniper.
Okay.
It was gifted to me from a local nursery. It wasn't doing too well. It was in a sandy soil. So it's looking much better now that it's in bonsai soil. So I removed all of the sand in the early spring. Late spring, sorry. And I'm just waiting for... So the junipers have two different kinds of growth. So they have the mature scale-like foliage and then the juvenile needle-like foliage. So this foliage it's juvenile because it's undesirable and it normally comes out first.
Yeah.
So it puts out this foliage when it's weak and not doing well, and it puts out this foliage when it's strong and healthy.
I see.
So you can see overall there's a good mix of the foliage. Well, a lot of it is the mature foliage. We're just waiting for its strength to get back.
Yeah, it's on the road to recovery.
Exactly,
eh?
yeah. And then we can make the design decisions.
Yeah.
But lots of good options and
Such a
wireable.
powerful trunk on it, eh?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite something. Wow.
And I'm not sure what bent these branches in the first place, but they're in good spots with good movement.
Yeah.
And no marks on them, so
No, it's really... Wow. Very impressive. And you've got all kinds of plants growing along here. Herbs and
accent plants.
Yeah.
A little pine that's in the works.
Yeah. That's an Austrian pine, right?
Yeah. So inspired by Nigel's Austrian pine. We'll probably cut this main trunk off and just leave some other foliage. There's lots nice little branches down here to work with.
Yeah, that's unusual to have all those lower branches,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's really nice. That's awesome. Well, that'll make a nice tree in the future. Mine started out as something looking like this.
Yeah.
So, just
Some
goes to show.
20 years to come.
Yeah, it just takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
Very cool. And look at this.
Yeah, so this is another pine. This is a Japanese red pine.
Okay.
It's a weeping variety. So this was...
Definitely weeping, isn't it? Holy.
Yeah, so it's right over this tall basket. You guys see that I like to grow a lot of things in baskets or open aeration.
Yeah.
To get a little air to the roots. So this tree is a part of a workshop at the Toronto Club.
Okay.
There's about half a dozen members that are doing a multi-year workshop.
Yeah.
So we're taking these nursery stock, fairly significant trees, and under the tutelage of some of the senior Toronto members, we're bringing them into a bonsai and starting the bonsai process of it.
That is cool. It's good to see something like that instead of these instant
Yeah.
demonstrations where you take a tree and repot it and wire it and prune it all in one session. And
Because those are done by professionals and they need to be maintained by professionals.
Yes.
If you see these and then follow those same steps, there's a high likelihood that it's not
Right.
a success.
yes,
They can only do that because they
know what they're
trained
doing and
professionals.
they have the ideal conditions for recovery and everything.
So this will be a multi-year project
Yeah.
with the first step getting it into bonsai soil.
And did this come up from a nursery or?
Yes, from
Yeah.
a nursery in
Okay.
east of the GTA.
Wow. Here's
So
another.
this is all my conifers are on this bench. Well,
Okay.
most of them, and they're there because this gets the most light out of the backyard.
Okay, and the sun rises over here
Yeah.
and comes across the sky and over here. So you get pretty well full sun all day here.
Yeah. These ones get 12, 14 hours on
Wow.
sun.
Yeah.
And you'll see from myself and Nigel, we're pretty sweaty in the backyard.
Yeah, it's not exactly cool here, is it?
No.
Wow.
So this is a collected Scots pine.
Okay.
It's relatively recently collected, within the 2 years. So it's just recovering
Beautiful.
in the bonsai soil. And we may make some styling decisions on it.
It's just a
next year.
tub with lots of holes in it, eh?
Yeah, so if I can't find something that's readily available in the size, I'll go to a big box store
Yep.
and get these tubs. And I used to drill them. Now I'm using a hot poker,
Yep.
or a hot knife, and that gets a cleaner hole. It's a little easier.
Yeah.
A
Less
hot
mess
towel
and-
or something, yeah.
Less mess, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that'll be a nice tree in the future too, won't it?
Yeah, lots of good movement in it.
Yeah. And these things, these are whip cedars, are
Yeah,
they?
whiptail cedars,
Whiptail cedars. They're a type of thuya, right? Thuya?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a variety of this thuya, they're
Right
common
here, yeah.
thuya, and
And it's just compact, and they never fold out or anything, do they?
no,
just,
they stay needle-like,
they stay needle-like like that.
but they do divide. So this is just a little experiment. It cut here, the long whip,
Yeah, and
and you
it's
see the new branches
getting
coming
new
out.
branching. So
I'm
it
gonna
could
cut it
become quite
down,
full in
yeah.
the future, eh?
I think we'll make a nice globe or broom style.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That's really cool. There's another little thuja down here.
Yeah, so these two are collected material that have been worked back. This is my first composition that I planted and designed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, looks good.
Just a zip tie here, holding the branch down.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, it looks good. Very flowing. And this is wisteria, you
Yeah.
said?
Yeah, so it wasn't a rescue from the nursery stock, not doing too good, but it's got some nice taper,
Yeah.
and the new leaves are getting green.
Yeah.
So
It's looking good, isn't it?
I was told these like to have the dry feet, so it's
Okay.
they like lots of water, but they like to dry out in between.
I see.
And I think during this wet phase, I was watering it too much.
I see.
And now that I've been holding back, I'm getting this nice green foliage
Yeah.
back again.
It's
So
coming back nice, isn't it?
yeah,
Very nice. And this is a
Shimpaku.
Shimpaku juniper, right?
Yeah, so it's recently styled as well.
Wow. Cascading down very low here.
It's hard to place it. It's got to be on the side of the bench, or it weeps down.
Right, where
It might need a taller pot.
or a stand or something under it, or yeah.
But
Wow.
before it's even more tippy, so I cut off a bunch of the branches.
Yeah. And what's this little one back here? Is that,
This is a variegated Portulacara afra,
okay.
the mini jades.
Wow. Is that ever nice, eh?
Yeah, so it's these guys are just a lot of pruning.
Yeah.
So you can see the structure on top. I'd like to get a little bit more depth.
Do you pinch them or do you prune?
Yeah, I'll pinch them out right here. So if I'm going to pinch back here, I'll just pinch off that like this.
Yeah. Just
And
pinch
leave
it off.
that.
And do you defoliate the larger leaves or
No.
no?
As if you keep on the pinching, the leaves stay small and stay within it. If I do have a lot of growth,
Yeah.
I'll just trim right back to
I see.
where I want it. So like this branch is coming out down here.
Yeah.
I don't want that, so I'll just pinch it off.
Pinch
And the tissue is very soft. If you have any sort of nail, you can just get it with your nail.
Yeah, yeah. Looks great.
Yeah, so this is a little just started from a little cutting, and it's starting to flare out nicely at the base. So
Yeah,
it's
it
got
is.
a good root system.
Yeah, that's really good.
The problem is I'm certain some of this is some sort of calcium deposit,
Right.
or I'm not sure if it's the bark maturing as well. It looks a little white, so I think it's calcium, but
Yeah.
we might try to brush it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice.
Just some other little trees growing, keeping up bench space.
Yeah, is this an elm?
Yeah, this is a Hinoki elm,
Hinoki elm.
so it's got
Nice little composition, isn't it?
smallest smallest leaves I've ever seen on an elm, I think.
Yeah. It's hard to believe. And over here is a...
Yeah, I can bring it up.
Okay.
So this is another shimpaku.
Wow.
And you can see the same thing. There's a mix of juvenile and mature, so it's recovering.
Okay. It's looking good though, isn't it? It's got a nice basic shape to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's been overgrown for a little bit, so I've just cut it back and exposed the inner growth to more light.
Yeah.
So after next season or next growing season, I can just completely cut off all this long
I see.
pads, and then I'll be left with a nice short under pad.
Yep.
And you can see that like this is similar spots in other growth.
Kind of set it up to be pruned back, haven't you? Yeah.
So it's just getting a lot of light there now.
Wow. It looks healthy and ready.
Yeah, that'll be next year hopefully.
And this is a
blue spruce.
Blue spruce.
Blue spruce.
Now, are they actually a fir type, or do you know, or?
No, I believe they're spruce.
It is a spruce. Okay.
Yeah. I believe it's a Norway spruce.
Yeah.
Or commonly called a blue spruce.
Yeah, they call them the Colorado blue spruce.
Yes, Colorado. It was not Norway. Yeah, Colorado.
Colorado blue spruce. Yeah. And they get this beautiful, ghostly white gray trunk on them, which I just love. Sorry, be careful. Yeah. So they get that really nice bark, and there's another one over here, right?
Yeah. So this one has a little. Yeah, we'll swing around.
Let's come around here.
This one has a little more mature, flaky bark. It's a little older, but it's definitely less refined up top.
Right.
So there's a lot of options in there to do. And these are good because you can. It's real easy to tell the difference between this year's growth and last year's growth.
Sure is. Quite a change, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they back bud well. You can see it back budding on the trunk here, which is really old wood. So that's good to see.
Yeah, so I like on the new shoots in the spruce.
Yeah.
Compared to a large, similar characteristics. So you can see the buds coming out at all the old needles.
Yeah.
But on the large, you'll see there's a bud on pretty much every needle.
I see.
Well, on the spruce,
they're less frequent.
yes,
right?
you may only get, and you have to dig for them a little harder.
Yeah, I see them.
So you got the 3 at the tip here.
Yeah.
But you only have 1.
Yes.
Only 1 in the middle. So you have to be much more careful when you're trimming the spruce. You don't want to, you always need to trim to a bud.
Keeping a live bud in it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because if you trim behind a bud, then you'll get a branch like this. So this branch is weak, and you can tell that because there's none of the new growth.
Right.
So this branch is likely to die within a year or two.
Yeah.
Die back to something with a newer growth.
Yes, I see.
So with spruce and
a couple out here at the tip, but
yeah,
I see what you mean. Yeah. So
yeah. So with the elongating species, you always have to make sure you're cutting back to a bud.
Yeah.
And some of them, like the large,
they have more buds, so you can be.
Larges, I think, have the most. This is a small U, and you can see there's not very many buds on the new one. There's a terminal one, and then one back here, small.
Yeah.
So larches, you definitely get the most opportunity with the large.
Yeah. It's a little more selective on the other trees.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
This is a dwarf thuya. So it's actually, it looks similar to the Hinoki cypress, but it's actually a genetically modified thuya, or like our eastern white cedars that you're used to seeing. So the benefit of this is it's as hardy as our native cedars, but it has a very fine and cloud-like foliage that is traditionally with the Hinoki cypress.
Yeah,
which are hard to grow in our climate.
Right, because you can't take the cold, eh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. That'll make quite a tree in the future.
I think so, yeah. And it's similar like thuya. They take really well from cuttings.
There's someone at the door there.
David. Hey, David.
Hey, David.
You guys still at work?
If you call this work, yeah.
How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for joining.
Well, Well, thanks for. Well, I invited myself. So.
Okay, so this is a just a planting, I guess. I just scooped it off the side of the rock, all in one. So there's a little baby white spruce here, and this was collected midsummer, scooped with a flathead shovel right off the face of a rock. So a variety of native grasses, and if you look in here, there's actually one surviving carnivorous plant. I forget the exact term, someone will probably tell me, but it did have a flower on it right here.
Wow.
And it's the only one that survived. There was more over here, but the environment changed it. So I keep this. There's no holes in this. It's a swamp-like.
Yeah. Bog kind of.
Yeah, bog planting, exactly. And that's what these carnivorous plants do really well in the bogs.
I see. That is cool. Very nice.
And beside it, we have a big twin trunk dwarf Alberta spruce. So these are pretty common hedge and landscape material here in Southern Ontario. So they're readily available, and there's lots of good options. You just have to hunt through to find one with a decent trunk. This is an exceptional one. It's got quite a wide base that transitions into the two good solid trunks. So I'm thinking somewhere maybe here as the front, with the slightly smaller one in the back. And then the next step on this is I'm just gonna trim some of the branches back and keep the foliage tighter.
Yeah.
And then behind that is a larch. So this larch is going to go into a forest that we'll show you in a bit. Is going to be the main tree. It's a mixed species forest, so it's going to be larches and spruce.
Okay.
So these are the main trees. They're being developed separately. So the larch was repotted in spring. The spruce will be repotted next spring, and I'm just following Nigel's technique on needle pinching and branch selecting. So you can see there's a good start of the pads already begun.
It's looking good.
The spruce was a little harder to deal with. They make these whorls on it, so it's hard to control that. So I picked an area that has all of this inner growth. So that'll be the majority of my branching, and then the top will be a cathedral style to mimic that this got hit by lightning.
Top died and got hit by lightning or something. Yeah. That's gonna look really good.
Yeah. So those two.
You got them fairly compact already, don't you?
Yeah. And it'll be easier. It's easier to control them when they're not in the forest.
Yeah.
It's once they're in the forest, they're harder to get at. They're harder to wire.
Yeah. That's nice.
Up front we have a bird's nest spruce. This is recently from nursery stock as well. So it has a nice hourglass shaped trunk and branches. So I'll just be selecting what to keep and what not to keep. So there's lots of options.
Keep it a sort of a broom style, eh?
Yeah, and it'll stay really short. It's a nice show in size.
Yeah.
Little bird's nest spruce. And bird's nests are great for that size, like yours, Nigel. They have the really small
needles,
flat. They make nice
flat pads. Yeah. They naturally kind of grow like a bonsai tree, don't they?
Yeah, it did it by itself.
And look at this one.
Yeah, so this is probably my favorite tree in the collection. It was a member of an Ottawa members club tree.
Yeah.
So I drove all the way from the GTA up to Ottawa to collect this tree and another ficus that we'll see shortly.
Yeah.
So it's one of the most mature ones in my collection. It did I got to redo all the pads and whatnot, so I've started making it my own with making new selections.
Got some guy wires there, don't you?
Yeah.
And you reduced it quite a bit too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I took probably 30 to 40% of the foliage away.
Yeah.
I tried to bring it in closer, and just generally trying to promote back budding and bringing in the foliage closer. So this is another one that was just recently wired.
It's looking amazing.
Nice. And then behind here we just have a couple more pines.
Yeah.
So this is a Japanese black pine in a basket in my bonsai soil. So it's got a small trunk on it.
Yeah.
It's in the growing development phase, so all this is going to be sacrificed. Behind it, there's a... Move it in front.
Okay.
There's a mugo pine.
Mugo pine.
It just looks like a bush, but there is a trunk. It's recovering in its new bonsai pot, so I'll be making some of those decisions next year.
Yeah, a lot of pruning to do.
Yeah, lots of options. So here we got one of my last larger pines. This is a eastern red pine, so our native red pine on the east coast here.
Yeah.
It's, I think, a underutilized species. In the wild, it has these large needles for 3 to 4 inches.
Yeah.
It largely keeps that way, but you can see here, after some pruning and some good strong growth, we have nice, tiny, small needles and prevalent back budding.
So they can be reduced eventually. Eh?
Yeah, reduced eventually. Lots of options for branching and some nice movement, and the characteristic red flaky bark.
Yeah, that's really nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
These areas are just some of my recently purchased nursery stock.
Okay.
So they're still in their nursery containers. They were gone this year, so they'll be underway in the bonsai training next year. So this is a European beech.
Okay.
And it probably has one of the nicest root bases I've ever seen on a nursery collected.
Yeah.
A nursery grown tree. So this is what you want to look for in a nursery stock.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah. But it's a tall tree at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some reduction coming in the future.
Yeah, as you can see, it's taller than me. But that's what you have to grow to get a base like this. So it's all part of the game.
Yep.
And
wow. And there's a weeping tree behind here.
Yeah, so this is a weeping crab apple.
Okay.
So it's grafted. It's just a garden tree.
Okay.
But I'll be taking some air layers off of it because it has these really small, fine crab apples.
Yeah.
And
there it is there, eh?
Yeah, and a large, long, sinuous growth, so it has a lot of flexibility and bendability.
Yep.
So I think it'll be a nice, a lot of options for it.
Cool.
Beside it, we have a bald cypress.
Wow, that's a big one too, isn't
it? Another tall one. It's got a decent trunk on the bottom of it, and it stays really wet.
Yeah, I'm getting some nice flare on the roots. Feather tree.
Yeah, very fine foliage, finer than the Dawn redwood, which is also in our area.
Yeah.
And like Nigel's mentioned before, the branching is alternating. So
yeah,
right, left. Whereas the Dawn redwoods, they come out at the same point.
Opposite each other, don't they?
And their foliage is a little bit broader.
Yeah, not quite so fine and delicate.
Exactly.
That's a nice tree, isn't it, Connor?
Yeah, lots of options and a good thick starter material to start with.
And then what have you got here?
This is a crimson smoke bush.
Okay.
So they have the poofy smoked. They look like puff balls.
Yeah. That's part of their flower.
Yeah,
isn't it?
their flower stems.
Yeah.
So I didn't see any of the flowers this summer.
Yeah.
Normally they flower throughout the summer, but this is younger wood, so
I see.
It's still a young tree.
Yeah.
But it does have a nice base.
Yeah.
Some movement in it.
Good things happening.
Yeah. So it's will be on its way next year as well.
Yeah, they're an interesting. I've seen some really old ones in people's yards, and they get some fantastic bark on them. And
it reminds me of the Dr. Seuss trees. I forget what with the Lorax trees.
Tuffala or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name of them.
Mm-hmm.
The Lorax. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaks for the trees.
Yeah.
So this is my my attempt at Nigel's clump clump style Schefflera.
Okay.
So I followed the videos that in his instructions that he replied. So it's from like hardware store Schefflera material, all rearranged
looking
into
good.
an area and just let grow in my baskets.
Oh, it's looking good. Good and vigorous. Look at the size of those branches.
Yeah. So this big branch is putting out these aerial roots here on the side.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Good way to get aerial roots. Let it grow and get a dense canopy, and they just start forming naturally, don't they?
So we just have some more accent plants and some other nursery stock. We have some dwarf grasses. This is a clumping style bamboo that I hope to make into either a bamboo forest or a bamboo accent plant, but it has some, it's pretty fine.
Yep.
Small trunk bamboo. So I'm excited to find that. That was fun.
That is really cool. It's like a miniature bamboo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
So this back bench has the majority of my tropicals.
Okay.
So as you can see, it's already in shade. We're probably about mid-afternoon here. So it only gets 4 or so hours of shade. And of sun. So it's good to have options to put your different kinds of trees in different light conditions.
Yeah.
So as I said, I have my conifers in the high light area. Sort of my deciduous. This is kind of my medium light area, and then this back bench is lower light.
I see.
So on here we have some of my tropicals that just didn't get rotated out into the regular benches.
Yeah.
I've put some of these, a couple boxwoods in here, which I think were burning on the other benches, and they look to be recovering here. And just some of my smaller mame bonsai are also here because they dry out quite fast.
This is the tree you're working on in my house.
Yeah. So this is my
avatar.
root. Yeah, over several rocks.
Yeah.
And
so there's all the moss on it, the sphagnum moss.
Yeah, growing right well. So here you can see a new root coming out of the the stuff that we just did.
That's exciting.
Establishing really well.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did move the strap is a little bit lower.
Okay.
It was still wobbly, so we're just waiting. It's gonna be a slow process to
eventually
be under its own weight,
strengthen up and be able to support itself. Wow. And this is in the Natal ficus here, is it?
Yeah, so this is the cutting from this one.
Okay.
This is the main Natal ficus.
The parent.
Yeah, which also started from a cutting from another member of the KW club.
Okay.
And this species just grows like no other ficus I've seen.
Yeah.
Aerial roots like crazy, lots of new growth. It's very, very vigorous. Easy to maintain. If you miss a watering, it doesn't mind.
Right.
It can dry out, lose all its leaves. It will bounce back as soon as it gets water. It's just I think it's the easiest or the most vigorous ficus I've ever come across.
Wow. And you're doing something interesting with this, aren't you?
Yes, this will be. I'm trying to replicate the Indian root bridges.
Yeah.
So that's what this hodgepodge of a pot is. You can see some of which will be the bridge crossing onto the other side. So I have some rocks that I'm going to make the hardscape out of.
Yeah.
And replant this in the spring.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, that'll be really exciting.
You're really into the suspended rocks by roots.
Yeah, it's an interesting species, and I want to utilize its quick growth and rootage to experiment with and do some fun stuff.
Yeah, use it to the max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is my big Ficus religiosa. So we were talking about Nigel and comparing my leaf type to his leaf type.
Yeah, different, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So I'm quite positive it is a religiosa, but it is a very different leaf type. So you can see the small tail here. It's more of a heart-shaped, where Nigel's tails are a little bit
long
longer.
tail, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
But it's all of my tropicals are in a growing phase right now. So everything looks quite bushy. but they'll be trimmed back when they come inside to keep up some of the space.
Yes, with our short growing season, we have to use it.
Yeah, you have to get as much as you can while the going's good, I guess.
Exactly. Make hay while the sun shines. Let them grow when the sun's out.
Yeah. So below it, I have some of my smaller mame trees. So they're grown on this cafeteria table to keep some as much moisture in as possible.
Yeah.
So these are some variegated serissa. These are just some experiments from cuttings. So I've tried some different
That's nice.
different shapes, and there's a small grove or 3-tree forest.
Yeah. Looks good.
And these all come from the cuttings from this serissa.
Okay, that's like the parent, is it?
Yeah, and we can spin it around so it's got a
It's
significant
getting
trunk.
pretty thick there, isn't it? Yeah, that's looking good. Connor.
And the cuttings I just grow right behind it. You can see them there.
Oh yeah.
They take pretty well.
Just stick them in soil, and the ones that survive, you grow.
Exactly.
If they die, they die. Excellent.
Yeah, this is the Barbados cherry you guys saw last time.
Yeah.
The one cherry fell off, and I did try to keep the seeds for you, Nigel, but I think a squirrel got them.
Oh, okay.
But the cherry was tasty,
Cool.
and it had three pits in it. So the next time I get one, I'm gonna keep it.
Sour? Or
Oh, it was pretty sweet.
was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't as sweet as like a cherry you'd get from the supermarket, but
Okay.
it had a nice flavor to it.
Okay.
And you can see the new flowers are just forming.
Yeah, I can see them just coming out. And are they white?
No, they'll be pink.
Pink. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Really cool. You can see this Cerissa's in flower here.
Yeah, so I think if not a cutting from the other one,
Yeah.
they just grow uncontrollably. This is an interesting starter one. This is a teacup avocado.
Yeah.
Started from a pit. So after you make your favorite guac, they're easy to germinate. The pit has been off of the tree now for a year or so.
I remember you used to have the fruit down there.
Yeah.
Or the seed or whatever it's called. And
Yeah, so when the pit is attached to the plant, you can pretty much do whatever you want to it because it's getting the energy from the pit. So you can be ruthless in top and root pruning
I see.
because it's going to get backup energy from the pit.
I see.
When the pit falls off, you have to treat it regularly like your other bonsai,
Right.
and make sure there's enough foliage and roots.
'Cause it's
to
only the
support.
roots supplying it then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. And you've got a ficus down here that's really cool.
Yeah, so this is a willow leaf ficus, Ficus nephrola.
Yeah.
You can see after, and I did some pretty serious root work similar to what Nigel did, and several months after, to half a year now, we're just getting an intense swelling at the base.
Yeah. It's really helping that flare at the base of the trunk, eh?
Yeah, and this is a large air layer I took.
Yep.
So I have my first primary branch, and then my trunk, and we got some taper in here, and then these are sacrifice branches as well.
I see. So it'll be pruned back shorter eventually, eh?
Behind it we
Nice.
have some Seiju elms.
Okay.
This is another dwarf elm variety.
Yeah.
These are air layers that came off of a friend's larger tree. So they're just planted in sphagnum moss,
I see.
recovering and growing new roots.
Growing roots.
So you can't see any out there.
But they've got them because they're alive, eh?
Yeah, there's.
Oh, yeah,
you see
they're
a tip
growing up
there.
the
Yeah,
bottom.
so they're healthy and green, and no problems there.
Wow. Really small leaves.
hmm
Amazing.
Yeah, so they're going to go into a forest with the dwarf thuya,
Okay.
and it's going to be a classic Canadian landscape with the large white pine
Yep.
above the deciduous forest. And
cool.
you see that a lot in the Canadian landscape, and I'm trying to emulate that.
That's cool. I like Canadian scenes.
Yeah, yeah. Beside it is a collected thuya.
Oh yeah, this is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah. It was a
This was collected this spring, right?
no, midsummer.
Oh, midsummer. Okay.
So actually August long weekend.
Okay.
And
So
it's got some great.
newly collected.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got all of the roots.
Okay.
So the metric on collecting is how much roots you can get.
Yes.
And the more you can get, the safer it is, and the better chances that your collected material will survive.
Yeah. Wow. And this is an interesting project with this willow leaf ficus here.
Yeah, so this was the air layer off the one I showed you.
Okay.
And it had an octopus-like, just a ton of branches all coming out of one spot.
Yeah.
So I
radiating out, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I staked them down close to the soil.
Yeah.
And what I'm hoping for is roots to grow from all of the branches. And there is a main trunk right here in the middle.
Okay.
It's pretty stout. It's only 2 inches. But I'm trying to emulate that banyan style where it's one tree, but it looks like a whole forest.
Right.
Where the branches are going to put out its own roots, and eventually they will thicken up to a trunk-like
Right.
appearance.
So it's all attached.
Yeah.
Takes up an acres of land, but
Yes,
it's just one
yeah,
tree
yeah.
genetically. Well, that's cool. That's a cool project. I think that's going to be interesting to follow in the future.
Yeah. Some more cuttings back here.
Yeah.
Just Schefflera, Aurelia, and the Natal ficus.
Oh yeah.
They take really well from cuttings as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll pull one out, but let's try to find one with a lot of roots.
Yeah. They like to grow roots, don't they?
Yeah, this is the one I want. Yeah, see, there's a good example.
Yeah, the roots that you get on them.
And then they'll spit
Aerial
out.
roots.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like to root, don't they?
Yeah. Very vigorous, very easy to grow.
Yeah. Great tree for bonsai.
Yeah.
And then you've got a really fat trunked ficus over here.
Yeah, this is your classic ginseng ficus. It's my girlfriend's, hence the the unicorn. But it's the ones you find in the malls that are easily available. It's got the grafted branches on it.
Yeah. But they have their own charm, don't they?
Yeah.
They get old bark on them and they start looking mature. And
we like this one because it kind of looks like the mandrake root from Harry Potter.
yeah, it does.
So it's got
like
its own unique character.
Cool.
We have some cuttings and half surviving stuff here.
Yeah, these are newly collected oaks, aren't they?
Yeah, so there are native white oaks, and we did a little experiment trying to take them midsummer.
Yeah.
So we still have some green on it, so we're crossing our fingers.
Yeah, see what happens, eh? And you've got a rosemary down here.
Yeah, so this is
Look at that, holy.
getting pretty thick. It's doubled, I would say, over the summer. We have
Smells
lots of growth on it.
Yeah.
And we'll be deciding what to do with it in September, because when they come inside, they gotta lose their leaves because there's not a lot
you'll
of room.
have to cook lots of potatoes and
Yeah.
have rosemary on them.
Yeah. Well, rosemary water is really nice too. It's good
really?
for the skin and stuff like that. And,
Okay.
Good
I've
in
never
hair
heard of
and
that,
stuff like
but-
that. Yeah.
Cool. And then there's another big
Yeah. Beside it, we have
trunk.
a hawthorn, so it's probably better to get from the front.
way back here. Okay.
So this is a large cockspur hawthorn, and you can see the
Ooh,
spurs on it are
They
about 2
are-
inches and very prickly.
those are the spurs that used to go through our mountain bike tires.
Yeah. Yeah, they do some serious damage.
Yeah. Wow, that's really wicked. Those.
Yeah, so it's recently collected. It's got some great bark texture to it.
Yeah.
It's been grown in the box for a little while.
Yeah.
So it was just allowed to grow. I did do some late because it was quite large. It was uncontrollable.
Yeah.
So next spring, I'll make some bonsai decisions, select new branches.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the front,
That's really
but
cool.
there's lots of options, and it's going to get a hard cut back.
Yeah. Awesome.
This is a Shiraz maple.
Okay.
Just a landscape tree. It's got some nice pink foliage.
Yeah.
We think it might be getting a little too much sun,
Okay.
or not enough. We don't know.
One of the two.
Yeah.
It's not happy.
No. It's not dead. That's
No,
all we can count for.
that's true. Very cool.
Yeah, and then we'll go back to the other bench.
Okay.
So it's just some more accent plants or garden plants. So we have, this is an interesting one. This is actually a variety of ficus. I forget the exact species name, but it is a ficus. And it's got these cool little heart.
Like a ground cover ficus, isn't it? Yeah.
It's viney and stuff. So that will go into a small accent plant.
That's very cool.
Whenever I got time.
Ferns. And
Yeah, little tiny dwarf fern.
that is cool. Might end up in your forest too someday.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we can split it and get a bunch of them.
Yeah. Very cool.
So some more accent plants. This is a papyrus.
Okay.
So it's growing in a thing of water.
Yeah.
It likes to be submerged fully in water. It's just on a suban tray.
Okay.
But it's lifting.
Look at the roots.
Quite vigorous.
And how old is this, Connor?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I got it from the Toronto Bonsai pre-sale.
Okay.
At the show, there's always a lot of good stuff to be collected there, and it's just growing in this clumpy bog-like style. And you see the new shoots coming out here.
Yeah, little shoots coming up. Yeah.
So we'll cut back the big ones, and it'll look quite nice while it's emerging.
Yep.
And just the longer it's in on that tray, the more mature and balanced it will look.
I see.
So this is my hibiscus.
Wow.
It's variegated, so it's got these kind of unique reddy green leaves.
Yeah.
Some of them are white and pinky, but it's got a ton of flowers.
Yeah, this one's about to come out, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, so just missed it maybe by a day or so.
Flower buds all over.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's growing in quite well. No wire ever on that trunk. It just grew that way naturally. So.
And it just winds around, and it's quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
A ficus benjamina behind here. Some nice movement to it.
That was an air layer from the club.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the KW Bonsai Society air layered one of Hong's trees.
Yeah. It's always nice when you get free trees out of ones that are already completed.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's looking good.
In front here we have a bunch of silver maple seedlings.
Yeah.
So they look a little different. The juvenile leaves are a little different than the mature silver maples.
That leaf is quite different. Look at that.
Got some weird morphology in there. And there's a bunch in there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fuse them all together.
Okay, like a fusion trunk.
Yeah. So I can send a picture of an update on that. But here's an example with some myrrh maples.
Okay.
So at the base, there you can see, there's a little fresh red root right there.
Yeah, I see that.
So maybe you can see that there's the zip tie. So you take the young seedlings and strap them together. Yeah. And then as they grow, they'll grow into each other and fuse.
I see.
And become one tree.
Cool.
Eventually. So I'm trying to do that with our native silver maples.
Yeah. And you've got a ginkgo here?
Yeah, so this is a ginkgo air layer. A successful air layer.
Wow.
The branches here. So there is some dieback. We may see some branches. Yeah. We may not.
Don't know yet, but
this is a strong branch, and then we have a sucker on the back, which
shot up, eh?
Yeah, it's definitely the strongest. So it may become the new tree. The new tree.
Yeah, yeah. Huh, amazing. Yeah. But it looks like it's doing well. That branch looks good and strong, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, it's a couple options at least.
Yeah.
So we have a sand cherry and a Siberian crabapple. Yeah. Wow. Sand cherries put out nice pinky white flowers at the beginning of the year. Yeah. And then I have a couple of these apples. They're young from seed, so I haven't seen any flowers yet.
I see. So maybe in a few years.
Yeah, we can just, I'm sure when they come it'll be a fun day.
Yeah.
Here we have a little Japanese black pine. Started from seed by Michael in our club. Yeah. And I just up-potted it, so it's going to sit in this pot for a while.
For a while. It's like a strainer basket or... Yeah, that'll do well in there.
Behind it we have a quince
Okay.
I'm unsure the exact type,
Yeah.
but it has a nice father-son twin trunk going on.
Yeah. It's cool.
Another little crabapple with some nice movement to it.
Oh yeah.
No wire on that either, just grew like that.
Just grew. Amazing.
And then you can see when, if left unrestricted, it grows pretty straight
Yeah.
pencil.
Wow.
So this is a ficus that I did a demo on a while ago. It's cut back pretty severely here at the front.
Okay.
You can see it's growing over,
Healing.
fattening up. This is going to be a short, stout ficus.
So how tall was this originally?
3 or 4 feet at least.
I see.
This was cut back early spring while it was still indoors,
Okay.
February, March, and all of this is new outdoor growth. So we'll cut back the new leader and the new primary branch when we bring it back inside
I see.
in
Yeah.
the fall.
So it's just growing out for the summer.
Yes.
Very cool.
Behind it we have several young black spruce,
Okay.
native black spruce. So they like a lot lot of water, so I was maybe putting them with some larches,
I see.
or right now they're just recovering in the basket.
Cool.
In front we have 2 of the serrated acacia style leaves.
Yeah.
So on the right we have a sweet thorn or sweet gum acacia.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some really fine
Yeah,
foliage,
it's really fine, isn't it?
tiny acacia thorns. And beside it we have a Texas ebony,
Okay.
which you can see it's folded up right now in the intense afternoon sun.
Yeah.
So these trees are great because they can self-regulate. So if they don't have enough water, or if the sun is too hot, they're going to fold up their leaves
Yeah.
to conserve water. And then when the sun gets less intense or is lower in the sky this afternoon or in the morning, they're going to open back up.
Wow.
So they're really good at
Smart trees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, smart tree. This, if you follow KW Bonsai Society on Facebook, you may have seen this in the Mame demo I did. So it's recently been repotted into a bigger pot. It's got more of a beach scene right now. The white sand was taken over, so
Yeah.
we don't try to keep them in show conditions at all times. It's too much work. So this is overgrown at the moment, but growing very well.
Yeah. It looks good.
So it's never been repotted separately. All of the trees have always been repotted as a grouping.
Yeah.
And the thickness of the trees have just been controlled by the foliage.
I see.
So they started relatively the same thickness from
Yeah.
cuttings, and you just control their thickness by the amount of leaves that you keep on them.
I see. So the vigorous ones grow thicker, and
Exactly.
the
And,
ones
and
you-
by nature, if the largest tree is taller, it's getting more light, so it's going to grow thicker.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, it looks really good.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It'll look
plot,
great after
beautiful
trim.
plum. Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
Behind it is a native apple.
Wow.
It was repotted. It's been cut back for some taper, and we'll just be working on the branching.
Wonderful old tree, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got some nice wound and character there,
Yeah.
folding over nicely.
Make it look like an old orchard tree.
Hmm.
That's cool.
Beside it, we have a native plum. It's growing really well. It wasn't repotted in the spring, so it's very vigorous,
Okay.
and it's probably doubled in thickness.
Wow.
And we got the nice craggly bark
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah.
And
It's
I don't know. I think this might be hard to deal with, but you can see when a new branch comes out,
Yeah.
they kind of make these whorls.
Okay.
So you can see this is the cut point I made,
Yeah.
and it's got this bulbous whorl underneath it.
I see. It
And you can-
thickens up. Eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can see it better example of it is here.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping it'll just grow through it.
Right.
I think it's pretty young.
As it thickens, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can see it at every node, they kind of get this wide.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just could be how the tree grows, and we'll just have to deal with it.
Yeah. Characteristic of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And
Here we
what's
have
this
a myrrh maple.
Okay.
So these are great in our area. They're super hardy, and they have very small leaves. So this was quite a large tree that was cut back hard in spring. It's one of my favorite maples for this climate. It's got very tiny, controllable leaves, very hardy to our area. It's got some great characteristics. I'm training this as a weeping hollow tree.
I see.
So I'm utilizing guy wires here to pull down the branches into a nice weeping
I see. Yeah.
hourglass shape. And then when they're set, the guide wire will be removed, and this deadwood section here will be hollowed right out.
I see.
So it'll be a sleepy hollow.
Very spooky tree.
Yeah.
Cool.
Will come down with spooky, creepy branches.
Yeah. Wow. And what's this one, Connor?
Beside it, we have one of my first trees to start working on it. It's bougainvillea. It's not the pink pixie variety. It's the regular broadleaf
Yeah.
one. It's relatively new to this pot. It was a little slow in the winter, but it's been growing really well in the summer. We have some of the ruby red flowers coming out.
Yeah.
And it's just this kind of groovy semi-cascade style.
It looks good. I like it.
I'm going to try to keep this deadwood feature as long as possible.
Okay.
It's got a nice curve to it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep the apex in the curve.
Cool. Kind of frames it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Behind it we have a Kotohime Japanese maple. So this has been one of my funnest and most difficult trees to work on. You can see the leaves are just super tiny, like the size of a dime or a quarter. They come out in this nice orangey red and harden off into a green. It also has some beautiful fall colors.
Okay.
But it's quite difficult to work with and style because it almost has too much of a good thing.
I see.
Its back branching and back budding is just so dense that
yeah, let's go in and look at that trunk there.
you can barely see the trunk.
Yeah. In here. It's big, thick trunk back in here. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm just letting it grow, and I can't really see what's going on in there. So the decisions will be made in the spring or winter when I can see the branching and whatnot.
Well, it's bare, eh? Very cool.
Here's another Japanese maple. Here's another Japanese black pine.
Okay.
Also from Michael's seeds. It didn't get into a new pot, and it's due.
Doing well though?
Yeah, it's growing on, trying to take up some space with this Korean fir. So these are interesting and hard to find in our area.
Yeah.
Or hard to find with a good graft.
I see.
There's the graft here is hard to find if it is.
Yeah.
And it's got a nice flowing root base, and the foliage and branching is pretty unique.
It's very unique, isn't it? Look at that. They almost look like small cones or something.
Yeah. And so like this perpendicular.
Yeah.
It's very unique. It doesn't even kind of look like a fir really, but
no, it's very cool.
Korean fir.
Wow.
Behind it we have more myrrh maples.
Okay.
So these are planted in a forest.
Yeah.
On a slab.
Wow. Looks very realistic.
Yeah. So we're looking at the back. The main tree is here.
Okay.
So we have a group of 4 thicker, taller ones on this side.
Yeah. And
then some smaller seedlings on the other side. But growing strong.
Yeah, nice forest, isn't it?
Beside that we have a unique looking honeysuckle.
Yeah.
So it's a very vigorous growing. It's an invasive plant in our area. So I try not to keep them in my garden, but in a pot it's fine.
Right.
So it had this large, deadwoody, hollowed, almost looks like Yoda's hut on Dagobah.
Yeah.
And I cut it back hard. You can see the main branch, the main trunk was back
in
there.
Yeah.
And it's just exploded in side growth.
Wow.
So it's just the game is just managing this growth. Every time you cut, you will 100% get 2 new branches. It divides very easily.
It's reliable, eh?
Yeah. So
it's commonly used as hedges, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah. And it'll put out a nice pink flower.
Okay.
But it's normally on the extensions. I've probably cut them off in the spring, so I haven't seen any flowers.
I see.
In front of it, we have a dwarf balsam fir.
Oh yeah.
It's growing nicely. I think this is a birch seedling growing beside it.
Yeah. Looks like a birch.
We'll either keep it or pull it
Yeah.
when we go to repot it.
That's a nice tree.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Nice compact balsam fir.
Very nice.
Beside it, we have my pink pixie.
Okay.
It's a variegated variety, but as it's saying, the variegation only lasts so long because when you're trimming it and applying bonsai techniques to it, every time a new shoot comes out,
Yeah.
there's a chance that it's going to be variegated or not variegated. And the tree wants to be not variegated because this white area isn't collecting photons. It's not as efficient as a fully green leaf.
I see.
So it wants green leaves.
Yeah.
And we've genetically modified it to create the variegation. I like the variegation. Some people don't like it. They think it's unnatural.
Yeah.
And they try to avoid it as a bonsai. So eventually, by the time this tree is ready to be shown and is in bonsai state, it probably will no longer be variegated.
Right.
You can see from where I've cut it that some of the new shoots are coming out non-variegated.
Yeah, it's very little variegation here.
And this is probably the strongest variegated branch.
Yeah.
So it's just a nature of
Yeah.
how she goes.
I've seen maples like that too, where they start out variegated and as they grow, they just turn into a regular green maple.
You'll see that with the dwarf Alberta spruce, actually.
Okay.
Sometimes if they're planted in the ground or whatnot, you'll get a new shoot that reverts back to the regular white spruce.
I've seen that
the
actually.
full-sized white spruce. And if you don't cut that off, it'll grow into a full tree.
Oh, okay.
They're pretty interesting when you do see them.
Wow.
Behind that, we have some more crab apples.
Okay.
I believe they're crab apples. They were grown from seed from a tree. So it looked like a crab apple to me. It could be a pin cherry.
Right.
I'm not sure. And we'll have to see it when we get flowers, if and when we do. This is a dwarf ginkgo.
Yeah.
It's a nursery stock.
Wow.
It's got a nice
Look at
base
that
to it.
trunk, Yeah.
And very dense, small dwarf foliage.
Wow.
So we'll see lots to choose.
Yeah, it's very small, isn't it? Look at that. Compared to the regular ginkgo, which has huge leaves.
Yeah. And it's a little bluer. I'm not sure if it's meant to be like that or there's a nutrient deficiency, but it looks a little bluer than my other ginkgo.
Yeah. Yeah.
No problems though. It's growing well.
Yeah.
In front of it is an air layer of a Kotahimi maple, of my main one that we just saw. So you can see a little bit better just how much foliage comes off the trunk.
Oh yeah.
So in some spots it's hard to see the trunk.
Right. It's just like covered in moss or something. Yeah. Wow.
So it gives you a lot of options for branching.
Yeah.
But like I said, almost too many.
A lot of pruning to do to keep it in shape. Yeah. Wow.
Up front here we have as an unknown species at the moment. I have forgotten what it is.
Oh, this one here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I like the trunk.
It's
really cool.
growing in a moss ball.
Okay. no pot, right?
No pot. It's on a small poly plastic lid.
Wow.
And the idea was to try to have the, well, from some of the areas you can kind of not see the plastic, but the idea was to look like it doesn't look like it has a pot.
Right.
And
pretty cool.
yeah, somewhere, yeah, there's the front.
Okay. Yeah, wow.
Here we have my thyme that we were working on last time.
Yeah.
And we did a little trimming.
It's grown a lot since I saw it last.
Probably double, so it was probably there.
Yeah.
When we trimmed it, and now it's back.
Wow.
And I think I've recently looked at it, and I think I'm going to pick a new front. I like this front. You can see all three of the trunks.
Yeah.
And it's got some nice side branching. But I think the other side is going to look a little better, and I might have to get rid of this branch.
I see.
Because now I'm thinking somewhere there
I see.
is the front. So we get the apex comes toward the viewer.
Yeah.
And we have a nicer curve on this main branch that matches the curve here.
I see.
So I think that may be the new front next year.
Good. That'll look good. Nice pot it's in too. I like that.
Yeah, it matches it well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Behind it we have a unique maple. Well, this is the little larch that we showed last time. And grown strong.
Cool.
But behind it is a paper bark maple. So it has this red, maroon, papery, flaky bark.
Yeah.
Its namesake. So it
peels off, doesn't it? Yeah. Wow.
It is a maple, a very weird leaf type.
Yeah.
But a very unique tree.
That is cool.
It got its spectacular fall foliage, and
but they're very hard to propagate. I heard too.
Yeah,
right?
hard to grow from seed. They don't take air layers or cuttings very well, but they do have some very unique and nice characteristics.
Yeah. Nice tree if you can get one, eh?
Yeah, hard to find in the nursery. And beside it we have my mixed species forest. So this is inspired by our Canadian landscapes. So we have larches and spruce mixed in between. So we have more larches than we do spruce. We don't always get what we want. There's the nature of the game. We get some dead trees. That's not a big deal.
Well, you see that in full-size forests too, don't you? Yeah. Oh wow.
So we have some smaller dwarf spruce in the back, some smaller larch in the back, and then really those large trees we saw earlier, they're going to go in between them once I find a bigger pot.
Okay.
Because we're almost maxed out here.
That's a big pot to begin with.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's going to look really good. That's amazing.
I think so. Here we have some small dwarf spruce variety.
Wow.
So I think this is a Prince. I forget the exact variety of spruce.
Yeah.
It's got some weird three roots there, and it's super dense and very compact.
Amazing.
And we have another kind of dwarf spruce. This is a Jean Dilly spruce.
Wow.
And it's going to be a
compact, eh? Wow. Super tiny. Nice.
Yeah, and those are both sitting on
this
another mixed composition that I have. Get rid of this.
Wow.
This is a paper birch.
Okay.
And a white spruce planting together. It's just kind of a unconventional bonsai planting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a weird abstract shape. So the white, the paper bark, the paper birch, will create a upside down triangle on this side, and the spruce will create a right side up triangle on this side.
Right.
And we'll see different characteristics throughout the year. So in the fall, when these become golden, it'll be a great contrast against the spruce.
Yeah.
And similarly in winter, this side will be barren, and we'll have the green foliage of the spruce.
Oh, that'll be really, really nice.
Yeah, I think it'll be.
The two shapes will fit together in the middle. And look at the bark on this birch.
Yeah. So I fit them as close as possible.
Yeah.
With some moss into bridge, but we only have
Good.
maybe a centimeter in there.
Looks really nice.
And they fit really well together.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
suit-
weren't collected together, they were put there separately, so I'm glad they
Looks good, yeah.
they fit well.
So that's the tour. Oh, there's a few more
Oh,
down
a couple,
here.
yeah. We moved these to get them, so maybe I'll put them up here.
Okay.
Background.
Last but not least.
So this is we'll talk about it. So this is another old to me tree.
Yeah.
It's a tiger bark ficus. It's got those cool strenuous roots and the large aerial root coming down there from the branch.
Yeah.
And it's buried here, but it's starting to get its own nabari.
Yeah. Almost becoming a tree itself, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's again in a growing phase.
Yeah.
The primary branches are all set, and it's just in the refinement stage now.
Wow.
So I used moss on the sides, which would have been traditionally filled with muck.
Yeah.
Which is like a heavy clay type soil that holds its shape really well. I tried to replace it with sphagnum moss,
Yeah.
which you'll get more air. It's still holding its shape, so you can see here this is a really nice wall. It's maintained this wall.
Yeah.
And we have some roots growing into it already.
Well, that's cool.
So it's doing really well.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
it recently moved onto this slab.
Quite a tree. Looking old.
Yeah, and I'm hoping I put moss here, but I think I'm just going to wait for it naturally to spray
grow
out
in,
into these small areas.
Yeah. Oh, that looks great.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then you have an Aurelia down here
Yeah,
too.
small Aurelia.
Which is quite fantastic.
This is
Look at that, eh?
Yeah.
Big thick trunk on it. Nice fine foliage. Amazing. That's nice to see.
Yeah. It's an interesting species.
Yeah.
I don't really see many of them.
That's lots of character to it.
Yeah. And we didn't see this. This is a rhododendron.
Okay.
It's in the same family as the azaleas.
Yeah.
It's a PGM elite rhododendron.
Okay.
And look at the crazy root base on that.
Yeah. That is amazing.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be cut back.
Yeah.
These larger branches will be cut back.
Just biding its time,
Yeah.
eh?
It's just we may get some flowers. I think we're a little delayed. I'm not sure if we're going to get them before, but
yeah.
it is popping.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thanks for the tour, Connor.
Oh, no problem.
That's just fantastic
yeah.
to see all your trees and your new house and your new dog and everything. Wow.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun getting used to the space and filling it with trees. Yeah, so we just have the auto waterer on. So we have a submersible pump coming out of the rain barrels.
Yeah.
And it runs up to the main hose that runs above all the benches. And it puts out a nice sprinkle. So I just arranged all the trees underneath it.
Wow. So there's a jet there, eh?
Yeah. This is you can just adjust. Or this one doesn't.
Oh, like the intensity?
Yeah. So
okay.
you turn it into a dribble or into a full. So these are all 180 nozzles.
Okay.
But you see the Virginia creeper takes over quickly.
Yeah.
I have to cut back all of the.
So you got to keep them clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
But once it's all set up, it hits every tree.
I see. So you got the trees positioned so they all get a bit of water. Look at this one. That one definitely is getting water.
It's missing its.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's just not missing, just pouring out.
Yeah. And then the back bench also has its own set.
Okay. Oh yeah, I can see the mist in the air there.
Yeah. So this one's more of a mist.
So if
These
we
nozzles.
come over here, I think we can see it in the light there.
Yeah. Let's just
Yeah,
clean it up a little bit.
there it is. I can see it. Wow.
Yeah, so it covers about a good half of the bench.
So that's probably really good on hot days too, to kind of cool the area down a bit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Nice being under it there.
Oh yeah, that's
So
really
those ones
awesome.
are coming out of this barrel back here.
Okay. And there's a submersible pump down there.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's the line running out of here. Wow. It runs over to the fence. And sprays everything.
Yeah, so that relieves a little bit of my watering pressure.
Yeah.
You don't, you still have to check every day
Yeah.
and make sure they're hitting every pot, but it's, you're a little more comfortable if you miss a day or so.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to put something like that in my greenhouse. For
Yeah,
sure.
those will work well in the greenhouse.
Just to miss them every half hour or something.
And depending on how, like, you're back there, it probably hits about 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah.
So you have one on either side of the wall.
Yeah.
You should be able to get the whole area.
That would be really cool. Awesome. Well, that was a fantastic day, Connor.
Yeah. I'm glad you had a fun time, and glad you got to see all
And a good
all the
meal.
trees I'm working with.
Good
Yeah.
meal too.
Yeah, some good grilled veggies.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, yeah, thanks for coming over, Nigel. Appreciate
Oh, my
it.
pleasure.
Awesome.
I'm back at home now. I had a wonderful day at Connor's. We went swimming. We had a barbecue. It was fantastic. Saw all his trees and his new dog and his house and everything. So it was a good time. So that's it for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.